That was a nice way to start with thank you.
Well, good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here. We want you to know your soul is welcome here.
That's right. You're in the right place at the right time, just where you are meant to be. Whether you're here with us in person or live streaming today, we're so glad that you chose to be here with us at Spiritual Life Center. And now, we're going to sing about it. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Please join me in turning around and saying good morning to those that are live streaming. You're in the right place at the right time. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul. Yes, it is. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Come on, put your hands together. My soul is welcome here. Your soul is welcome. My soul is welcome. No matter what color, what culture, sexual orientation, political or religious affiliation, one God, many paths, everybody's welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Welcome.
And welcome.
Welcome.
Your soul is welcome here.
All of our souls are welcome here.
Thank goodness.
And we want to greet you this morning in the name of all that is good and all that is loving and beautiful in this spiritual community, Spiritual Life Center. And whether you are here for the very first time or you have been here from the beginning, we know that none of us are ever here by accident. Whether we're live streaming or sitting right here, we are always here by divine appointment. And we're so grateful that all of you kept that really precious appointment with all of us this morning. And there's another appointment that we know that you remember every single Sunday. All of you remember that before you walk in this sanctuary, you have dimmed or silence.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you. All of your electronic devices.
Yes, that's a new word.
Really
we'll work with that.
one of those mornings. Thank you for assisting. Yeah, thank you. And so if you have a really interesting ringtone, you can leave it on and we will score the ringtones later.
Prayer time?
It's almost prayer time. So we want to let you know that one of our longtime members, Jim Pettit, made his transition several weeks ago. And so we are planning his celebration of life because he was a being that was so warm and so welcoming. He was one of our longtime greeters, men's group members. So there will be a and in the choir, There will be a celebration of his life on September 22nd at 2 p.m. right here, and you are all welcome to come honor this amazing soul.
So let's take a moment to connect with that presence. And we surround the spirit of Jim Pettit, as well as anyone that's going on the other side of the veil, to complete or continue on their assignment that they have been given by the Spirit of the living God. And right where we are, we remember our assignment is to let God be God in us, to be the vessels and the vehicles of this presence, and to anchor in this world, anchor on earth, the qualities of the Spirit of the living God, the qualities of love and peace and joy and wisdom and all that is good and perfect. Because we know that we are the way that the presence of God gets around in this dimension. And we are the way in which this expression of God shows up in our world. So we're grateful for the opportunity to let God be God in us as we go forth, anchoring the light, the love, the joy, and the wisdom in this dimension, so that when we are seen, we see the presence that is sending us to do the work. We're grateful and thankful for this as we go forth, multiplying the all good. Amen. Do we have Sister Hansa?
We are going to have Sister Hansa. Sister Hansa is from the Brahma Kumaris, and they are a beautiful sister organization. We have so many members that have really benefited from all of their teachings. They do a beautiful, beautiful work in the world of teaching meditation practice in every area of life. And so stay tuned. Sister Hansa will arrive at some point this morning, and hopefully before we depart the service, they will do the Raksha Bandhan, the tying on of that beautiful golden bracelet with the golden thread. And that is a symbol that we are all connected as brothers and sisters. So look for her in the courtyard. We trust she'll be here by the time service is over.
And just a reminder, I know for those who may have been at the expo a couple of weeks ago, I've been gone since that time, but we had a panel on Saturday that is going to be aired on cable TV. So we're going to have some information about that at some point, because we don't have the dates yet, do we?
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
Not yet.
But we'll be bringing them soon.
And we want to, again, thank anyone who was involved in making that beautiful expo happen. And that's from our beautiful sound team, our music team, our sound team, all of the volunteers that it took, the hundreds of hands and hours to put on such a beautiful gathering. So we want to thank all of those involved.
And one of those involved was Paula, and she has
one
an
of them
announcement to make right now.
Thank you, and good morning.
Morning.
I want to let you know about our special 5th Wednesday WOW program coming up this Wednesday on the 29th. We have our dear friend Renee Jenkins coming to us to do a vibrational healing ceremony. How many of you have experienced Renee Jenkins? Aha, a number of you. Nice. Well, Renee comes from a tradition of unity. His father was a very prominent unity minister regionally. He is also a classically trained musician, and at some point became introduced to and mentored by the shamanic traditions of South America, particularly Peru. And he was gifted many sacred instruments, and from there carried on to study and bring music from other traditions as well. And so he will be bringing all of these beautiful instruments and offering us vibrational sound healing on Wednesday nights. Salad, as usual, at 6. The program is at 7. Renee would also like to offer some private sessions, half-hour sessions that he will offer. There are 4 slots available, 2 before the service and 2 after the service. If you'd like to avail yourself of a private session with Renee, he will be offering those for half price today. So I'll be in the courtyard with a sign up if you'd like to, if you're interested in signing up for that. And otherwise, see you Wednesday at 6 for salad. Thank
Great.
you.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
And also a reminder, we have a wonderful event coming up with Teresa Campos, and she's going to be presenting Braving Your Shadow Through the Power of Archetypes. It's a new 3-week class that will lead you to those powerful and hidden aspects of yourself that can bring new creativity and as well as light to your life. So I believe you can see Teresa in the courtyard for more questions.
She'll be in the
today.
courtyard after each service talking
Yes.
about her class. And speaking about a class coming up in September on the 14th, 15th, and 16th, we've got Reverends Jim and Lisa Lee in the house. So they will be presenting a program. It's actually called Traveling at the Speed of Love, and we've substituted moving because it's an action item. So they are going to be here, and it's going to be an amazing time to deepen the work of Patricia Albier's work as the We Collective. So she is a beautiful teacher and has brought in some beautiful wisdom, and Jim and Lisa Lee are going to be with us for those 3 days to teach that information to all of us. So you can sign up now. I know he's a very popular teacher who used to be here locally and is no longer, so those spaces will fill up fast. We encourage you to get in on the early bird rate.
And Faith in Action is coming up. It's upon
Faith
us
in
very
Action is
quickly.
coming up. How many of you have done our Faith in Action fall book study? Wonderful. How many have hosted or facilitated? Do you know that we've extended those signups for home hosts and facilitators until September 2nd? So you have another week to sign up to take part in opening your home for a few hours a week. We need homes all the way from the foothills to Elk Grove to Davis to Woodland. Wherever you live, there are people that will join you in those small groups. So see the registration table, and you can also register for that online. So we encourage you to have that beautiful energy in your home that group study will bring.
Because one of the things that we do as a community, we tie to organizations outside of our community. And we have two individuals that's going to give us a thank you this morning, Leslie Dedora and Megan Adamski. I hope I pronounced you all's names correctly. I think they're going to share something as well.
They
I
are.
think
They're-
a video as
They're
well.
from A Touch of Understanding,
Yes.
and come on up. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's
Pull
such a
right in the middle
pleasure.
there.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We would like to extend a sincere thank you for the financial support that you've given A Touch of Understanding. On behalf of the children that we serve, we're here to thank you for your donation. I'd like to ask you to think, do you remember back when you were a young child? Think about the classes you were in. Was there always at least one child who was either bullied or left out? I can always think of one. Her name was Kathleen. And she was always just bullied and ostracized. For her, it was because her parents didn't help her with her hygiene and to do her hair and didn't clothe her cleanly and properly. Well, our focus with A Touch of Understanding focuses on individuals with disabilities. Our students get to walk a mile in their shoes. They use wheelchairs, white canes. They learn about autism, learning disabilities. They handle braces and artificial arms and legs. And then they meet some of our volunteers who have disabilities. This is an opportunity to really explore the life of another human being. And we know that after the students go through our 3-hour program and use our follow-up enrichment materials, that the teachers have told us that in addition to being much more sensitive and aware to their peers who have disabilities, they're more sensitive and accepting of diversity of all kinds. So, thank you. So we have a very brief video that kind of hopefully will show you the impact of A Touch of Understanding. And we'll be out in the courtyard happy to share with you about our programs and looking forward to involving you in any way you'd like to be involved. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, very good.
Wonderful.
So much said in that very short video. So much. Now we're going to acknowledge a couple of groups of people this morning, our ambassadors and chaplains that may be present this morning. If they would stand. And as you know, the ambassadors are always wearing the rainbow ribbons and are here to greet you and direct you to anything and ask you questions that you may have about our community. And the chaplains are doing the very important work of holding confidential prayer during this human journey of joy and challenges that we often go through. And they're wearing the white stoles, and they will be available in the sanctuary after the service to pray with you. So we thank them for their presence this morning.
And this morning, if you are here for the first time, in just a minute, we're going to ask you to raise your hand. We're not going to make you stand and sing, but we are going to offer you a few gifts. And one of them is a welcome card. And it's the ticket to get connected here at Spiritual Life Center. If you would fill that out, drop it in the offering basket, or take it to the welcome table. It's a great way to sign up for a weekly email message. This man here, James, will write a beautiful inspirational message each week. I read it each and every week, and it gives me a boost, and it helps me walk our talk here. And so if you would like to sign up for that email, you can do that. You can also see all the different small groups that you can get involved in here. So please fill that out. So now is a perfect time to raise your hand
Yes.
if you're
Anyone
here for the first time.
Any first-timers this morning?
We are all family.
So
Beautiful.
we're all
So-
new today because we're different than we were yesterday. So let's greet each other and say, good to see you. You look marvelous.
And we invite you to stay standing and join us in singing our group song. Faith in Action is right around the corner, and this happens to be a Faith in Action song from 2009, written by our very own Paula Mandela. Please join us in singing. Living my life from the inside out, moving toward my dreams, turning away all my fears and doubt. A world of lack is not what it seems. It's no secret, there's a universal truth. The life that we are living is the life that we choose. Faith is the key to the kingdom of power within me. I see it, believe it, and now I can achieve it. Love moves in me and transforms every fear into courage. I feel it, I know it, and every day I show it. Yes, I will. I'm giving way to the divine flow, attracting all I need. With grateful heart now for this I know, it's there abundantly. It's no miracle, it's very clear to see. God can't do nothing for me that isn't done through me. I know that faith is the key to the kingdom of power within me. I see it, believe it, and now I can achieve it. Love moves in me and transforms every fear into courage. I feel it, I know it, and every day I show it. Faith is the key to the kingdom of power within me. I see it, believe it, and now I can achieve it. Love moves in me and transforms every fear into courage. I feel it, I know it, and every day I show it. Yes, I will. Faith is the key. Faith is the key. Love moves Please be seated.
Now we're going to speak together our cue cards, our shadow side and our magnificent side, welcoming it all as an opportunity to celebrate and grow. So please have compassion for us when we are being not enough, distrusting, grieving, blaming, powerless, and fearful, because this is who we have come here to be, inspired, in integrity, joy-filled, compassionate, unstoppable, generous, transformational. Now let's take all that beautiful quality and speak and embody the words of our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now, as we prepare for meditation, we sing this beautiful chant, joy and peace in my heart.
Please join us in singing. Joy and peace in my heart. Always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. Joy and peace, joy and peace in my heart. Always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. Joy and peace in my heart. Joy and peace in my heart. Always I feel joy and peace in my mind. God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. I am healed. I am healed. I am healed. I am healed.
We take those words and embody them as our own. Joy and peace in my heart. For we recognize that whatever we see in the outer world, it's what's going on within us. For the axiom that reminds us that as within, so without. So if we want to see any kind of external change, we begin with ourselves. We examine our thoughts, our words, our actions. And as we align them with the divine ideas of pure spirit, we anchor the qualities of God in our world. As within, so without. That is true for our individual lives, for our organizations, and ultimately the world in which we live. So we have the choice to embody the divine ideas of peace and love and joy and wisdom, compassion and forgiveness, and make them the activity of our awareness. For the energy that we give out is the energy we keep. So we lowly listen in the quietness of our being until we hear that still small voice that reminds us, you are my beloved, in which we and the Spirit of God is well pleased. We send out this energy so that others feel it. We pass it on to them. And as we do, it ignites something within them. It ignites the realization and the remembrance of who and what they really are. Children of God. Emanations of the Most High. And as more and more individuals recognize and live out their true identity, healings happen. Upliftment happens. Peace happens in a twinkling of an eye. So let's take a moment of quietness, feeling and sensing our oneness with the qualities of God, and simply affirm within us, the Spirit and I and all of us are one. We put our faith faculty in the quality of peace. We bring our awareness to this divine energy that is everywhere, that has never had a beginning, never had an end, and allow it to radiate from within to the outer. And as we do, we bring about the peace that passes all understanding, a peace that is eternal, a peace that can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. And we know that it begins with each and every one of us. So we go forth with peace in our heart to anchor that in our world. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, ever joy. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Oh, divine Master, source of light in all, grant that I may not so much see, to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to be loved. For it is in giving that we receive. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. It is in God's name that we are parted, Lord. It is in dying that we are born to Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace.
Thank you. Yes, somebody said, let's go home right now. I think that's just a presentation. I don't know if we made the official name. Are they now the Second Slice? The Second Slice. The Second Slice. We had the Slice Girls, now we have the Second Slice. All righty. I'm just taking that in. Lord, let me be an instrument of your peace. You know, there was a double-blind study that was done I'd read about a while back. And there were some individuals who were taking pills for depression, or testing out this new pill for depression. And there was one young man who was part of the study, but he wasn't taking the actual pills. He was taking, the sugar pill, the sugar stuff, the placebo, so to speak. But unfortunately, as he was going through this time, he wanted to take his life. So he ended up taking 26 of the pills, and they had to rush him to the hospital on the verge of death, and he had IVs in his arms, and it wasn't until later on that 4 or 5 doctors told him that, he actually hadn't taken any of the pills. He was taking some sugar. That he began to come back to life. He began to stabilize himself. He had put his faith and his belief in something that was not real, but in his mind it was. And so it kind of leads into our talk for this week. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make an instrument of your peace, dear God. And we've been going on this statement, this poem, this prayer from St. Francis. And it was so wonderfully sung by the second slice just a few moments ago. And Eknath Warren, who was an Indian-born spiritual teacher, who had been an expert in the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, he was been looking for a particular passage that he could meditate on from the West, and he couldn't find anything until he ran across that prayer from St. Francis. And in his book, Love Never Faileth, he says that this particular passage, this meditation passage, really is a blueprint for making our lives a blessing for everyone. And so today we're exploring one particular line in that prayer, in that passage, that says, where there is doubt, we are to sow faith. In the Hebrew Bible, there's a statement in 11:1 that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said it's the perceiving power of mind linked with the ability to shape substance, which means that we have, by focusing our energy on a particular thing, can shape it into our experience. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with how things look like right now. I don't know if you ever ran into somebody who you just knew had a whole lot of faith. And sometimes you might say to yourself, man, I wish I had the faith of that individual. But the fact of the matter is that we have all the faith we're ever going to have. The question is, where are we going to direct it? Where are we going to direct it? There's the same study or the same book I was reading about, they were saying that acupuncture was probably the most powerful and most effective tool for back pain. And he said the second most effective one was fake acupuncture. In other words, he would give some people what they thought was acupuncture on different parts of their body, had nothing to do with the back, and they believed it was working, so they got better. Now, I'm not saying don't have acupuncture if you need to take it. Don't take meditation if you don't need, doctor doesn't prescribe it. But it indicates the power of where we direct our belief determines the experience that we begin to have in our life. Jesus really summed up his teaching when he said, it's done unto you as you believe. Where are we putting our faith energy? So today I thought I'd look at this idea of faith by looking at a Bible story to deepen our understanding of faith. And the reason I bring that up, because sometimes I talk with people who are, they actually would say they're afraid of the Bible because it has a lot of violence in there and it has a lot of contradictions, things that you can't understand. I remember one year I decided I was going to read the Bible. I was going to read it from cover to cover. This is before I went to ministerial school. I think I got to the book of Numbers, Leviticus, and I said, man, I can't read this stuff. This absolutely makes no sense to me. But when I began to understand that what was in there was not really meant to be necessarily literal historical truth, that the writers of the stories were poets. They were writing things to say what they had to apply to us, what those stories have to do with us. And that one of the great contributions I think we have in New Thought and Unity is the metaphysical interpretation of those stories. With every person, every event, everything that's taking place is not necessarily because it happened historically, but rather because it tells us something about our awareness. It tells us something about evolving of our consciousness. It's about you and me. And so today there's a story that, okay, I'm going to bring out my electronic Bible. And it says, this is what we read nowadays. In the book of Matthew, it says that then suddenly a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. He's talking about touch Jesus. And she said to herself, if I only touch his cloak, I will be made well. And Jesus turned, seeing her, he said, take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well. and instantly the woman was made well. You know, that story is describing a woman who had been hemorrhaging for 12 years. She had a belief, and she said to herself, you know, if I could only touch the hem of his garment, if I could only touch that. Because she had heard this guy called Jesus. He had heard about this so-called Christ presence. He had heard about the healing, he had heard about this kingdom of God consciousness. And 12 years he had been suffering this issue of hemorrhaging, and all manner of doctors he had gone to try to get her help. She went to all kinds of healing modalities, but nothing seemed to work. Nothing seemed to really make any difference in her life. So she thought to herself, if only I could touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. And so this particular story is really a lesson in faith. She began with a belief. She had a belief that if I could just touch the realm, if I could just touch that vibration, that she would be okay. Now, belief is a starting point for our work. It's a beginning point. It's where we start from, but it's not everything. It's just where we start. But as I said, Jesus reminded us, the great avatar, the teacher of teachers, said, it's done unto you as you believe. If I were to sum up everything that he said as to what his ministry was about, what these teachings are about, it's in those 9 words. I think now you start counting it. It's done unto you as you believe. But he was speaking about the law of mind and action. He was speaking about our experience. Because whatever we believe, consciously or unconsciously, ultimately becomes what we experience. Just like that gentleman who was taking those placebos, he believed in a certain outcome and he got that. Just like the person who got the fake acupuncture believed that he was going to get well and they got better. What we believe becomes our experience. But there's something even above our experience. It's something called reality with a big R, something that's changeless. And our belief can never change reality. Reality is a unique expression of God that, God may have, we have to remember who we really are. That we're loved by God. That is an unchanging reality. Now, we may have believed less. We may have accepted less. But it doesn't change who we really are. There was a person that had gone to a doctor, and the doctor prescribed these special laxatives to the person. And he said, I don't believe in laxatives. And the doctor said, you don't have to believe in it. All you have to do is take them. There's some things our belief does not have an effect on at all. They're just true. So our belief cannot change ultimate reality. It can only be a focal point for our interpretation and our experience for reality. But his belief is where we start. So in that story, she believed that if she touched the hem, she'd be healed. And the story goes on to say that later on, she pushed through the crowd. She pushed through the multitudes to get to that point. She began to do something. In addition to believing, she had to do something in alignment with her belief, to walk in that direction. So she pushed through the crowd. And oftentimes, to direct our faith and to focus on what is it that we truly believe and to make it our reality, we have to push through the crowded minds at times. Sometimes our minds are filled to the brim with doubt and cynicism and judgment and unforgiveness and resentment. And those are the things that are around us. And they're crowding on us. Sometimes we have to push through other people's belief. I don't know if you ever tried to step out on your vision, some new idea, and some people will come along and say, well, let's be realistic. What they're really saying in code, let's be negative. Let me tell you why this is not going to work. We have to push through that at times. And sometimes that doubt comes up as a committee in our minds. We move in a particular direction. And then, that committee shows up. Who do you think you are? You think you can do that? You think you can be great? You think you can overcome that? You think you can achieve that? We have to, please keep that away from us. We have to denounce them. So we have to believe that we're spiritually made in the image and likeness, not of God itself. It's something that has a no beginning, no end. And so sometimes we have to invoke our identity clause. We have to talk to ourselves in such a way that we remind ourselves of the truth of who we are. You know, Jesus said the year of the light. I think that's our identity clause. Sometimes we have to push through by reaffirming this truth so we can get through the resistance that the thoughts of that committee brings up into us. So we have to practice our practice. Now, it's easy to do when things are going well. You know, you get up in the morning, you're feeling good. Everybody acting around you right. You know, you get in your car, go down the street, no traffic, all the lights are green. Man, everything, this is easy. This life is working really well. And then we might have a challenge. We run into that person that we just don't want to run into today. They're the first person that we run into. We have a crisis. Like I said, when things are going well, we can just say, hey, you know, I'm spiritual, I'm metaphysical, man, I got it going on. And we say to ourselves, man, you go, girl, you go, boy, you got it going on. But then all of a sudden, some sort of resistance comes up. Some sort of cleansing happens. Some sort of purification takes place because we're trying to move from one stage of our development to the next, and everything unlike it begins to come toward us. I don't know if you've ever taken any work from Maria Namath. She's been here a couple of times. She used to call that trouble at the border. It's at that moment that the committee's going to start speaking up. Uh-oh, she's reading again. Oh, she's praying again. Oh, she's going to that spiritual life center again. We got to stop her. We have to try to stop that, but we have to push through. Those individuals believe that peace on the planet is possible. Those people believe that violence in our communities can end and that we can create a world that works for all. Oh, those people believe that we can have a fair and just political system. Well, we have to push through and say, yes, we do. Yes, we do, and focus on that. It is done unto you as you believe. We only get new results in our life when we begin to do new things differently. We must practice a new way of being, a new way of seeing. Oftentimes, we operate from our shadow side only. And basically, if we look at our shadow side, all those who've done the work, or everybody I talk to, there's usually one foundational idea that we actually work from, that we have to work through, become aware of, and that is, I'm not good enough. We're not good enough. I think when we begin to believe that, we're blaspheming the presence of God. We're blaspheming the number one creation that we are. And we have to redirect our faith energy. And it's those moments that we have to affirm, I am a child of God. God loves me. All I need is within me. It is God's good pleasure to give me the kingdom. God needs me to shine God's light in this world. We have to say that to ourselves. Sometimes we have to say it really loud to overcome those small voices that try to detract us from the truth of who we are. So in that story, I believe in some level, what she did is redirected her faith energy. She pushed through the multitude. She pushed through the committee that was saying that she's not good enough. Oftentimes we say we believe something and just stays as a belief system. And our actions are not articulating the belief, and that's a level of hypocrisy. We may say, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in God. I believe in generosity. I believe in all that stuff, but sometimes our actions are not in congruence with that belief. And we may wonder why our experience, even though we believe in God, is less than being that radiant, power-filled, creative, loving, happy expression of this presence. We haven't pushed through the crowded streets of our mind. We haven't pushed through the dangling discords of other people's opinions. But that woman, she pushed through. It says she reached out and she touched the hem of his garment. And Jesus said, someone touched me. I felt the energy. I felt something move through me. And she turned to the woman and said, daughter, it was your faith that made you whole. It was your faith that did this. You merely thought that you were touching me. But many other people have been touching me in this very crowded place. They've been swarming in and listening and rubbing against me, but your faith made you whole. It is that very hour that she was healed. She had contact with the Spirit. I would say that she had a real contact high. Some of you understand what I'm talking about. I wasn't always a minister. Okay. She touched that realm. That means our real work here is to make contact with that supernal realm, to make contact with that spiritual quality. It means that sometimes we have to examine our own awareness and see where we have gotten off track. That's why our daily meditation is so important. I don't know about you, sometimes when I stop and observe my thoughts, I'm grateful that other people don't know what I'm thinking. Sometimes I scare myself with the thoughts that come up. We can begin to observe what's coming up, what's our thoughts. We can begin to release them and let them go. And then we can substitute that by connecting to God ideas, divine ideas. And I think the highest and best way to direct our faith is to focus on the presence of God. You know, that's why it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. And if we begin to believe that and realize that, you know, if this spiritual presence can spit out stars and galaxies and planets, keep them in their orbit, it can solve our little problems. You know, we never talk about, you know, we never tell God all of our problems, all our big problems. We tell our problems all how big of a God that we have. So key is that we must focus not on the added things. So sometimes we focus on the material, the added things as the result. And we make that the thing rather than the kingdom of God consciousness. So we have to challenge ourselves. Sometimes we try to get God to do something for us, rather than go to God for God awareness and put our faith energy in that and leave the outcome to that presence as we connect with it. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson had to learn this. He was a highly educated spiritual person and, you know, knew a lot of these teachings. And during a couple of years of his life, he was bedridden with tuberculosis. And he had written a lot of books and gave a lot of lectures and talked about this presence. And all the healers that are around him were challenging him to heal himself. And he was praying and affirming and visualizing, and dignitaries were coming to visit him, giving him all kinds of advice. But finally he got fed up and realized he had slipped into wanting to heal tuberculosis more than he wanted conscious contact with God. It slipped in there. And they could do that for us. When we're challenged with something, when there's something we're working on, it seems that it's wonderful. It seems that maybe it's working. We're working on something. We want to have that healing. But Emerson realized the instant he wanted the healing before wanting his contact with God, the moment he remembered what his real purpose was, the moment it came to him in a blinding insight that he wanted God more than anything, that he wanted that contact more than anything. He wanted to touch the hem of the garment more than anything. In that moment, it began to dissolve his problem, and he was healed in that instant. It took a couple of months, several months, but eventually all of that problem, disease was dissolved, but he made contact first. And I think we must remind ourselves what we really, really want is that dynamic contact. We want to create our attention to that. We want to direct our faith energy to make contact with this presence through our prayer work, through our meditation work, through our lowly listening. And in such an instance, it's like a small candle in a dark room. A small candle can cast a big light in a dark room. And when we have what appears to be, to the surface mind, a glimmer of a contact, in that instance, by no process, the wholeness begins to reveal itself. The love begins to reveal itself. The joy begins to reveal itself. The understanding begins to reveal itself. The wisdom and the peace begin to reveal themselves. We want to touch that. We want to put our energy into that. So as we examine the story of the woman who had been hemorrhaging for 12 years, we realize that she represents us. We may have been going through some stuff. We all do in this human experience, We may have had it for a long time. And the opinions of others outside may be weighing us down like it weighed her down. But whatever the situation is that we may be going through, whatever the circumstances is, it may be a legal view, it may be a relationship view, it may be a medical view that someone has about us. It may be the collective belief that the society has that we've gotten caught up in us, telling us who we're not, what we cannot be, what we cannot have, what we cannot do. You know, that we're too old, too young, don't have enough education, got too much education, don't have enough money, got too much money. That's impossible, but anyway. But now we're coming into a belief that if we only can touch the realm, if we only can touch that garment, if we only can touch that Christ energy, based on a belief that it's real, it's changeless. So we're reminded that we must do what she did in that story. Push through the crowd. We must be reminded that she didn't give up. She didn't care about the prognosis. She didn't care how long she had suffered with it. She did not care about her personal history. She did not care about what others may have said about her. She pushed through anyway. And she reached out with her consciousness and she made contact. You know, I had a classmate in ministerial school, and when we went there the first week, you know, we're sharing our stories. And she was sharing the time that she was on the verge of death in the hospital. And she was doing all kinds of things to try to be healed and tried all the outside modalities. But then all of a sudden, she decided to let go and let God. She took out all the IVs and stuff. They thought she was crazy. But the next thing you know, she was up, out, going home. She wanted to make that contact more than anything else. And the added things were given to us. That's the promise. That's where we want to put our faith energy. When we do that, we're pure in heart. And as it says in that scriptural reference, those who are pure in heart shall see the presence of God. And purity means one direction, single-minded, focused, not confused. There are not a lot of things in it. When we say something is pure silk, it means there's no polyester in it. It's 100%. Those who are pure in heart, like Emerson and that woman, want one thing: the power and the presence and the love of God. People may say, oh, when you have that energy, oh, look at you. You look so good. You're so successful. You had that project. You did really well. And you'll say, it really happened when I touched the realm. When I used my faith faculty to develop God awareness more than anything else. I wanted that one thing. And those added things just become testimonies. Things we get to see. We see and testify how God turned things around in the moment it happens when we made contact with that presence. It's in that vibration we let our light shine. That those that see us, that see you, they know that what you're really about. You know that you're an instrument of the Spirit that St. Francis talked about in that prayer. And all the committees, all the negativity, they cannot even approach you with any of that. They can't even see it in you. They have to go somewhere else because you're saying to them, there's no vacancy here. They can't come. No negative committee. So as we embody the words of St. Francis, let me be an instrument of your peace, where there is doubt, faith, we make that part of our life. And as we do, the presence and the power and the love of God takes over. And that is the answer that we're always seeking in everything that we do. And so it is. Peace and blessings to you. Well, we're going to continue on this series next week with Make Me an Instrument. We're going to talk about pardon as from that prayer. And We're looking at some of the interpretations that Enoch Eshwarren has given from his book, Love Never Faileth. So we'll continue on as we do our part to be those instruments of the presence. And one of the instruments we'll be at this moment is an instrument of divine giving. And I invite you to take your gift, your tithe, your love offering, and symbolically raise it to ever-expanding good, also known as heaven. And know that when we get into this flow, that we're in a divine and perfect spiritual principle, that whatever we give out does come back to us. And it has the practical effects of supporting this community and helping other organizations by our 10% tithes. So it's being spread out in so many different ways. So with that awareness, I invite all of us to join in saying our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Inside my head there is a dream that I wanna see in sun. Behind my eyes there lives a me that I've been hiding for much too long. 'Cause I've been too afraid to let it show. 'Cause I'm scared of the judgment that may follow. Always putting off my living for tomorrow. I gotta step out on faith. I gotta show my faith. It's been elusive for so long, but freedom is mine today. Gotta step out on faith. I gotta show my faith. Procrastination had me down. Just look what I have found. I found strength, courage, and wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. Inside of me, behind my pride there lives a me that knows humility. Inside my voice there is a soul, and in my soul there is a voice. But I've been too afraid to make a choice, 'cause I'm scared of the things that I might be missing. Running too fast to stop to listen. I gotta step out on faith. I gotta show my faith. It's been elusive for so long, but freedom is mine today. You gotta step out on faith. I gotta show my faith. Procrastination had me down. Just look what I have found. I found strength, courage, and wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. Strength, courage, and wisdom inside of me. Hey, oh, yeah. I close my eyes and I think of all the things that I want to see. 'Cause I know now that I've opened up my heart, I know that anything I want can be. So let it be, 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 so
faith, courage, and wisdom inside of me. Indy Ari, a very good friend of unity, by the way. I don't know if you know that shit. So we bless these tithes and offerings, knowing they're going to bless the givers and receivers as we go forth, directing our faith energy to the presence and the power and the love of God, knowing that everything else is added after that. For this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful. Amen. And with that, let us join in and sing our peace song. Let our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us.